Hey there, fans of Comic Land, it's Leila here from the Comic Connection with this week's comic book reviews. And first up, we've got War of the Green Lanterns Aftermath number 2 of 2, by Tony Bedard, Ransom Getty, and Andy Smith. In this one, confusion and grief reign on Oa as the Green Lanterns try to put back together their realm. And they're questioning the Guardians' decisions as far as how they're reacting to Sinestro, and they're enraged by their desire to place Krona at rest amongst their fallen comrades. Dissension grows. Maybe the war isn't over after all. This was awesome. Had great art and story. I can't wait to see how the new DCU is going to attack Green Lantern, because the stories have been so awesome, from Blackest Night to Brightest Day to the Green Lantern War. It's been just really entertaining to read, and I'm hoping that the new DCU is going to, address sort of this rich storytelling and not, just ignore it, that it's going to, you have to know all this backstory because it's going to inform what's going on. We're not just having a new number one for the sake of having a new number one. I'm hoping that they're going forward using all of this, but who knows how it's all going to turn out. I guess we have to wait till September to find out, but I really recommend this 2-part series. I really enjoyed it. Next up, we've got Batman 80-Page Giant 2011 by Various. Now, this one has 7 different Batman-related stories for you people who like Batman out there. So I'm going to sort of go through each one of them one at a time so you get an overall look at the book. In Intervention, Bruce tries to help a young girl get over her habit, and he wonders if the two of them may have a little too much in common. So it sort of looks at the parallel between, being addicted to a drug and maybe how Bruce could be addicted to being Batman. Not so much that the city needs him, but maybe he needs to be Batman. So it was a really interesting thing to look at that parallel, and I really enjoyed the story. Next up, in Short Straw, a man is sent into Gotham to test a piece of tech, a special suit, and he has to test it against Batman. So it was really interesting. Not so much a Batman story. There's a fight scene between this gentleman and Batman, and the ending is sort of something that you don't see coming, which is interesting. But overall, it wasn't really an awesome Batman story for me. Next up, we've got Unspoken, and in this one, Batman and Catwoman sort of explore intimacy. Now, this one is the one in the book that I didn't really like at all. The story relies on being told without any words at all. It's all told through the pictures, which would be fine if the art was really great to look at, but it's not. I didn't like it at all. So the whole effect of this story was completely lost, and I don't think they ever achieved what they hoped to. So that was a really big letdown in the book for me. In On the Waterfront, Zaz escapes Arkham under mysterious circumstances, and it's up to the Caped Crusader to find out how. This one was pretty interesting, although it seemed very much like Harley and the Joker could have been doing the same story. It's kind of that kind of thing, but maybe even more dark. So I really enjoyed this. I liked it. So, it stood out in the book as one of the better Batman stories as well. So definitely worth picking it up to read that one. In Danger Drive, the Riddler attacks a game show, and the threat is answered by The Question. Now, this one was okay. I mean, I'm never really that interested in the Riddler, and this one didn't make me really interested in it anymore. And The Question just showing up is kind of weird. But, if you like either of those characters, then this is probably the one for you. Batman never appears in this one. I think it's just Dick Grayson that's in it. But still, sort of interesting. In Fearless, we're given a sort of an origin story for the Falcon and his early fights against Scarecrow and Batman. This one was pretty cool, kind of interesting. Not a lot happening in it as far as, if you want to see Batman, but a really cool look into that character. And last, we have One Lock, Many Keys, where a brush with Batman really changes a young boy's life. This one was really touching. It's about a boy who sort of doesn't have his voice. He can't really communicate with the world, but after having, an encounter with Batman, really finds his voice. So I thought that was, really interesting, really heartbreaking, and again, one of the standouts in the book. Again, I think this is an overall good purchase for the price, and if you like Batman, you're going to like it all. But really for me, only 3 good stories out of the 7, but there you have it, that's just me. And last but not least, we've got Spider Island, Cloak and Dagger, number 1 of 3 by Nick Spencer and Emma Rios. In this one, Cloak and Dagger join the Avengers in the battle against the riots in Manhattan, but they're divided on the course of action. And what is the connection between Dagger and Mr. Negative? So this one was okay. they're tying it into Spider Island, that whole thing where there's like bed bugs that have been genetically enhanced to give people spider powers, which, I don't know, that seems all kind of lame to me, and I'm really not sure how putting Cloak and Dagger in the middle of it makes any sense, even attaching them to Mr. Negative. But if you like these two characters, they do really explore the characters well, and I do like the interactions between them. The art didn't do anything for it for me, but as an interesting Cloak and Dagger story, it's okay. See you next week.
Hey folks, Jim here with this week's comic book reviews, and first up we have 2 viewer send-ins. First up we have Brian and Bobbi, written by Adam Wilson with art by Franco Viglino. In this one, Brian has gone unnoticed all his life despite his having superpowers. Well, Bobbi is the illegitimate child of a superhero who can't seem to convince anyone she's just a regular girl. This is the story of how they met one fateful day. This is a really good story. This is a really good origin story, as it were, for a new superhero. It's also a really touching coming-of-age tale as well. Good art, good story. I really enjoyed this one. If you want to try something a little different, try this one out. You're probably going to really enjoy it. Next up, we have Fall on Me, of Video Games and Zombies, written and drawn by Adriana Blake. And in this one, we follow the autobiographical life of 2 newlyweds and their adventures with video games and zombies. If you're a webcomics fan, you might know of this comic. It's pretty funny. And as a video gamer myself, I can really relate to a lot of the comedy that's going on in here. So I had a good chuckle. So yeah, check this one out if you get a chance. Adriana is a really great, talented artist and really deserves some more attention. And last, and certainly least, is War Goddess number 0, written by Mike Wolfer with art by Pau Rodrigues. What is it with all these weird-ass names lately? We had Zormanico for Duke Nukem, and now we have Pau Rodrigues. Porn name? Is the porn industry invading the comics industry? I don't know. Anyway, what happens in this one is the immortal Pandora has settled for a life of exploration of the world. But a new scourge is about to be unleashed on the world when an incursion from the dark dimension begins in the form of Helena. It's the 90s all over again. All the bad girls you remember are pretty much in this book. Other than Warrior Nun Ariella and Razor so far. But you never know, they might show up later. Pretty terrible story. Art's okay, but it looks like it's actually done by several people. I mean, the art is really inconsistent from page to page. But if you are a fan of bad girls from the 90s, you're probably going to enjoy it. Me personally, nostalgia like this does not really have a place in this day and age, because really, what's the point of the bad girl genre anymore? It was pointless back then, it's pointless now. I really didn't like it. If you want to check this out, check it out, but for me, it's going in the bin, the dollar bin.